Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to another MX Simulator official track gameplay, round number 10 of the Pro Motocross Nationals from Unadilla, which was pretty darn hectic in real life this past weekend. And yes, I know that I put on the title of this video, it's the 2018 Unadilla National, and of course, it's not a muddy version of it, so I'm sorry for that. And there's a couple spots on the track that are wrong. That's because the MX Simulator guys built it off of 2017's track. So it's released in 2018. It's a replica of the 2017 track. I call it 2018. Everybody in MX Simulator calls it the 2018 Unadilla National. So I know. Don't worry, guys. I know this isn't an exact replica of this year's track. I'm sorry. I can't turn on rain in this game. Like, it's not just like a feature, so I can't make it a muddy version either. I could have turned the road way up and like done a couple laps, but I just felt like that would make kind of a crappy video because I'd crash a lot. So we're just racing the plain track that they released in game. That's, you know, the actual non-muddy version of Unadilla, and it's fun. I love Unadilla. I say that about a lot of tracks, but Unadilla is one of the few tracks on the national schedule that I've actually been to in real life as well. Went to the 2006 Unadilla National with my dad and watched good old Richard Charmander just slay the field. So I really like Unadilla. I think it's a great track to the circuit. Love the flow of it, the whole track in and out of the hills and the sky shot and gravity cavity and screw you and all that business, which they didn't use in the national this year because of the whole massive rainstorm that flooded the track and made it practically unusable. So took out screw you and they just went straight on there, but we'll still do screw you in this video. And classic sky shot, big whipper tails all day long, although I'm going long on this. Still landed it. Yeah, Unadilla is awesome and this track is awesome. And now it's time to talk about some real life awesomeness momentarily, because honestly, you know, these videos I talk about my thoughts and opinions on real life motocross. You know, that's what this is supposed to be about, is this past weekend's Unadilla National, and it will be. I'm going to briefly touch on it, but I'm going to spend a lot of this video talking about all the Motocross to Nations news that came out this past week, because there's a lot to talk about. So let's briefly talk about Unadilla, which, okay, yeah. 250 class, Dylan Ferrandis goes 1-1. Amazing job. Didn't start up like started at the front in both motos, but he didn't hole shot either. So he definitely, you know, had to kind of work his way past these guys, because in the mud races, it's like you get a hole shot and you basically get 2 or 3 laps to yourself while everybody tries to figure it out, because nobody wants to rip all their tear-offs really quickly or go through their roll-off system, you know, their pull-off or whatever system that quickly. So they kind of open up big gaps real early and then settle in and start catching either the leader fades or whatever. So that's what happened. Ferrandis had to come through and make passes to get there, and had his teammate Aaron Plessinger on him for a decent bit in both motos. In fact, in the second moto, Cameron McAdoo got the hole shot and Plessinger and Ferrandis caught him, and then Ferrandis tried to pass him in this corner actually that I'm coming up to, and like made a big mistake on the exit, and Plessinger got around him and then got around McAdoo, and then Ferrandis got around McAdoo, and then Ferrandis went and caught Plessinger and got him back and then took off. So it was all kinds of weird chaos in that second moto. Pretty good battle actually, and solid job for McAdoo to try to hold on for that long. But yeah, Ferrandis looked great. Plessinger at 2-2 extends his points lead. He's probably going to wrap up this title at Budds Creek. Kind of my biggest like surprise, or I don't know if I'd call it a surprise of the day, was actually both Rockstar Husky riders. Moseman for leading so much of the first moto, and so Harrison must have, I'm all backwards suddenly, but Harrison must have led a lot of the second moto after McAdoo went backwards. So that's what the battle was Harrison and Plessinger and Ferrandis, not McAdoo. I apologize. But Harrison led a lot of the second moto, and it looked like it was not like out of the question or like crazy to think he might win it, because he was doing such a good job of holding those guys at bay. Ferrandis had an issue with his front number plate flopping all around, and it looked like it kind of hindered him because, I mean, it's never easy when it's muddy and you're trying to focus on hitting your marks, you know, like with all these crazy ruts and stuff, and then suddenly you got this white thing flapping in your face repeatedly. So it looked like he was struggling a little bit with that, and then once it kind of got cleared out of the way, although not entirely, he definitely stepped it up a little bit. But I mean, Harrison led a lot of that moto, and I know that there's probably some frustration about the lapper getting in his way and taking him out while he was leading. But those races are always so crazy. Like, mud races are impossible to determine what's going on, who's lapping you. I mean, if you're 20th on back, you should probably just, a blue flag's waving, you just move out of the way. But they're definitely starting to get kind of further up there by the time that this happened, and Harrison just got kind of hung up in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was just a little tip over too. I mean, it's not like it was a dramatic takeout or anything. It sucked because I think Harrison really worked hard and at least deserved to finish third in that moto, which ended up not happening. But or no, actually, I'm sorry, he did finish third. I don't know what I was thinking. But he just led for so long, and it was a great ride. And Moseman led so much of the first moto, and then eventually he crashed and had an issue. But they both rode great. Like, they shined in the mud, really. And it's cool to see because those guys have both had some pretty rough years. It's probably likely that Harrison doesn't come back to that team. Moseman might. They're going to have Covington, Jordan Bailey, and then probably Moseman still on that team next year, with obviously Osborne going 450s. So yeah, funsies in the 250 class. 450 class was also pretty crazy. The first moto was just a slop fest, and Musquin led for a while. Tomac had to come and make a pit stop for goggles. Pretty much everybody in the top 10, as far as I saw, came in and got a fresh set of goggles at some point during the moto. Musquin, after he got passed by Tomac, who came through flying past him with clear goggles, came in, got a new pair of goggles, and then kind of matched Tomac's pace from there on. Like, not like, he was about a second a lap off is what I'm trying to say, but in a mud race where they're gaining like 8 or 9 seconds on everybody else is pretty impressive, because Musquin lost about 6 seconds, 7 seconds a lap late in the race, but I think he had a tip over. But the rest of the field was like a minute behind Tomac and Musquin. They were the class of the field in both motos, really, but that first moto for sure. And Tomac, you know, like I said, caught past him and took off, and it was a great ride. I mean, as sloppy as the conditions were, Tomac was hanging it out. He looked smooth, controlled. It was awesome. And then the second moto was kind of a flip-flop. Like, Tomac looked like he was maybe a little bit more laxed and reserved. Musquin looked like he was maybe hanging it out a little bit more than I saw out of him in the first moto, and lo and behold, he wins the second moto by, I think, 25 seconds it was or so. So they both had great rides. They both rode great all day long. They ended up tied on points, you know, not tied on points in the championship, but they tied on points for the day. So Musquin gets the overall by winning the second moto, but Tomac, I think, just had a really good, smooth, calculated ride to not lose points, hold on to second in that moto, and leave with a 15-point lead going to Budds Creek. So I think both of them have something to be happy about. I'm sure Tomac obviously, you know, wants to win whenever he can, but Musquin picks up his third overall of the year. Tomac's point lead stayed the same, so it's not like it was a win or lose kind of a situation for him. It was just a good day, and yeah, I'd imagine with a crazy mutter like that, he's got to be at least content to leave with, you know, the same amount of points up that he had entering. So that is Unadilla in a nutshell. Now let's talk about the Motocross Nations. And the first thing I want to talk about the Motocross Nations, I'm just going to do this in kind of chronological order because there's 3 really big things that happened this past week since I did a video. Number 1 is the French team was picked for the Motocross Nations. Marvin Musquin was left off the team, and I was livid. So upset. I was ranting on Twitter, and honestly, I don't feel any better about it now than I did a couple days ago. You know, Musquin came on the broadcast this weekend and said he wasn't that upset with it. It's their choice, whatever. He's going to move on. But I'm still pissed. Like, honestly, Jacques Ballet, lose your job. Like, you're an idiot if you think that Marvin Musquin on basically his home soil now would be a worse pick than either Gautier Paulin or Roman Febvre. I mean, throw up the dice. I know Paulin's been on that team the last 9 years. He's been the captain. He's won it for them, and he's been amazing. So I can understand it being tough to leave him off. And then Febvre was the 15 world champion, so it's also kind of tough to leave him off, but I don't care. Someone's got to make a tough decision here because Musquin right now is the best French motocross rider on the planet, period. Ferrandis is really good, but he's in the 250 class. I don't think he's quite Musquin's level. Musquin is the best French rider, and the fact that he is not going to be racing the Motocross of the Nations for the French team is an absolute joke. There's no other way to put it. It's ridiculous. Jacques Ballet, the president of the FFM, said, "Oh, we just didn't feel like Musquin was going to be that motivated," even though they were there at Redbud when Musquin won the overall at Redbud this year, and Musquin was like, "Yep, I'm good to go. I have my schedule set aside. I'm 100% motivated. Let's do it. I want to be on the team." And of course, they just blow him right off and move on to the next guy. Apparently, I don't get it. Whatever. It's stupid to me. The French team could still win, and that pisses me off because I don't feel they deserve to win. No disrespect to Febvre, Paulin, and Ferrandis, but Musquin deserves to be on that team, period. There's just no two bones about it. It's just beyond stupid to me, and I honestly thought it was kind of like a joke when I first read it. I was like, okay, so when's the real announcement? Like, yeah, of course, we're going to have a little fake announcement here, and then we'll announce the real team in a few hours or a day or two. Nope, this is the team they're going with, and like I said, I mean, they could still win. They have a lesser chance of winning, in my opinion, by not including Musquin. Paulin, Febvre, Ferrandis, it's a good team. I think Ferrandis can win the MX2 class. I know, and I'll get to this in a second, but I know Plessinger could do really well at Redbud. He did really well at Redbud this year, but I feel like Ferrandis 100% ready to go, wanting to represent Team France, and Plessinger maybe with a little bit more nerves on his shoulder, never ever representing the United States before, whereas Ferrandis has been there, done that, won with Team France before at the Motocross of the Nations. Like, I just feel like he's probably going to be a little bit more like relaxed about the whole thing. So I think it kind of becomes a little bit of a toss-up. I would still say Plessinger is probably the favorite in the MX2 class, but Ferrandis is got to be at least in the question. And then, I mean, honestly, I don't think Febvre or Paulin beat Barcia. And that is, in my opinion, the second rider on the USA team. I felt if you picked Musquin, you're probably not going to get Tomac unless something really weird happened. But, I mean, Musquin has consistently beat Barcia this year. Like, my mind is blown. Anyway, so the French team... Jacques Ballet, you're an idiot. I hope that when the French team loses this year, the federation gets together and fires you, because that was the stupidest decision I've ever seen anybody ever make, ever. I was so heated. I'm still heated. I'm not going to not be heated because it sucks. I'm going to the Motocross of the Nations this year. I wanted to see every single one of the top guys on the track, out there racing, giving it their all, and second in the 450 championship on the American side isn't even going to be there. Livid. Anyway, I digress. Moving on, the USA team was picked at Unadilla this past weekend, and I felt like this was pretty much a long time coming, like as to be expected. I didn't think that this was not going to be the team. Especially after Redbud, seeing how well Barcia did again. Redbud he's always been great at, and then Plessinger obviously getting the 1-1, and even though Tomac had bike problems, he was clearly one of the best riders there, probably the best if he didn't have the DNF from the mechanical. So yeah, Tomac, Barcia, Plessinger. And if you're new to the Motocross of Nations, basically what happens is they always almost pick two 450 riders and a 250 rider because you have an MX1, MX2, and MX Open class. MX1 is usually 450 exclusive. MX2 is obviously 250F exclusive, and then MX Open. You could ride a 250, you could ride a 450, but pretty much always there's a 450 rider in that spot, so that's why they picked Barcia. And like in years past, we picked Webb to be the open rider, and he rode a 450 even though he was a 250 rider at the time, etc., etc. I think this is a great team. I think this is the team that wins the Motocross of the Nations this year, barring weird things happening. Tomac DNF, Barsha crash, Plessinger head case. There's weird things that could happen. But I think that on paper, this is, the favorites, which is more than can be said the past couple years, because I feel like USA hasn't super well sent their A team since maybe 2014. I think would be the last time I could say that, because 2014 at Kegums they sent Dungy Tomac and Jeremy Martin, who had just won the 250 national title. I felt like that team was epic, but they met Euros on a sand track and Jeremy Martin broke his foot. Like it wasn't going to work out that day. So I think this is the best team. I think that this is the A team, quote unquote, and I think that this is the team that wins the 2018 Motocross the Nations. Very happy with this selection. I'm super pumped to see how all those guys do. And like I said, I'll be there to watch all the fun and chaos. Now I'm going to move on to the third talking point of the Motocross the Nations, because there's just endless things to talk about this past weekend with it. And that's the announcement of Team Puerto Rico. Travis Pastrana, Ryan Sipes, and Ronnie Mack. What? Again, when reading the Muscan thing, I was kind of like, okay, that's a joke. Who's the real team going to be? You know what I mean? I think all these guys are awesome. Travis Pastrana is my hero. Like, I grew up watching and just loving everything about Pastrana. Pastrana turned pro when I was 7, and I just, everything that he's done in his life has like encapsulated what I want like my life to be, the way I want to live my life, his happiness and his free-going demeanor and everything. Like, Pastrana is my hero, so I'm stoked that he's gonna race again. And Sipes is a great pick. I felt like that's not like a bad pick for this team. And I hate to keep calling him Ronnie Mack, because it's Jimmy Albertson. Okay, Jimmy Albertson is Ronnie Mack. Newsflash. And what I don't like about this whole thing, and I'll just come out and say it, I don't like this. Like, I think it's for a great cause. They're trying to raise money for Puerto Rico that's still, seeking relief from Hurricane Harvey. And, they need the help. They need the motocross community to get behind it. And I know that I'm going to receive backlash for saying this, because so many people seem to be like on board with this idea, but I don't like it. I think I would be relatively okay with it if it was Jimmy Albertson racing, not Ronnie Mack. Like, whatever, Jimmy Albertson, he can run the whole Ronnie Mack get up, I guess, and he's gonna be number 49, not number 69, and he can ride the old school CR 2-stroke and run the FMF graphics and have his overalls. Or I think that's kind of stupid too. Like, this is the world stage of motocross. This is the biggest motocross race of the year, and it's just silly to me. It would be like if in the Indy 500 you had a clown, I guess would be like the closest comparison to this, show up and decide he wanted to race in the IndyCar series. And instead of racing in a modern IndyCar, he decides, I'm going to go get a Dallara chassis from 2001 and try to race all these guys in the same IndyCars that they're in now. Like, it's a cool concept. I get it. Like, 2-strokes, so freaking awesome. Travis Pastrana, legendary. Ryan Sipes has done just about anything and everything on a motorcycle. It's like this plus 30 vet team kind of thing. I'm just not a fan. Like, it diminishes the true value of what it is to compete and win the Motocross the Nations. I've never personally felt that the Puerto Rican team was really that like cool anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's silly to me that we basically just have an America B team every year that goes for Puerto Rico. And it used to be that you had to have an actual native-born Puerto Rican on the team, but then they did away with it last year, and then they had I think they had like Marshall Welton, Justin Starling, and Sinai on the team last year. So it's like, I don't know. I just can't get on board with this yet. Again, if they all run properly homologated 2-strokes, if they all train and actually give it their best shot, if Ronnie Mack goes as Jimmy Albertson, which is his real name, instead of some sideshow fake name at a real motocross event, I'm 100% on board. Like, cool beans, dude. Like, you're representing Puerto Rico, which is United States territory, so I get why, you know, the logistical reasons behind why you're allowed to do it. And it's cool that they're going to run the 2-strokes and that they're helping support Puerto Rico. Like, so many cool things about it that I love and that I hate to hate about it. Like, I don't want to be that guy that says, this is a bunch of crap, like, bring back the real motocross. But I kind of have to be like, this is a real motocross professional event. And, like, I feel like even Pastrana on some level kind of has, like, elicited the idea of, like, he didn't like this idea. He even called it the world's stupidest idea on his Instagram post. But then said, like, oh, they convinced me to do it for the Puerto Rican relief. And that's a great thing for them. I 100% am on board with that. I would like to help any way I can, you know, like, even if I take donations myself on this channel and help towards that team and the Puerto Rican Relief Fund. Like, it's a great concept, but again, it just kind of diminishes the value of the Motocross Nations to me, that you kind of throw together like a team of just big names to, you know, Pastrana just got done talking about the fact that, like, he hasn't been able to race or do anything for years. He got his ankle bones fused together. Like, he can't really, like, do this anymore. He even mentioned he was over racing entirely because he can't do it anymore. His knees are shot. Like, I love me Travis Pastrana. He just, it's over for him racing. He hasn't raced professional since 2009. Again, like, I'm getting overly worked up about this because, again, motocross should be fun, and I get it, and I'm not trying to hate on this idea because it's gonna happen. Like, whatever I say doesn't change it. Like, it's gonna happen, and you know, eventually I'm gonna just jump on board and be like, this is awesome. Especially when I'm there, I'm probably gonna be cracking beers and loving everything about it. But right now, like, looking at it and the way it's all laid out and knowing just, like, how much of a joke the FFM have made this whole French team debacle, not picking Marvin, and now this, I'm just like, don't kill the Motocross the Nations. Like, it's my favorite event. It's, like, the best event. It's still, like, the pure nation against nation motocross event. And, you know, looking back to the 80s, I know how much they changed the rules to try to not make it so America won. So I get that this is not the first time that we've had a bunch of weird sideshow antics about the race, but it's been a pretty solid deal for the last 15, 20 years. And I hope that, like I said, if this happens and it goes this way, that it's Jimmy Albertson, not Ronnie Mack, and that, you know, we can actually have, like, a really good, solid, professional level event to watch instead of, you know, a sideshow kind of event that these guys are kind of trying to put on with this whole thing. That's my whole thing about it, is that you just, you know, you don't go to a Formula One race to watch, you know, the Stig race in the Formula One event. Like, the Stig can't race in the Formula One event, like, you know, talking about Top Gear, because that's not his name. Like, that's not a real person, because it's just a character. And it's cool, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and, like, at Red Bull Straight Rhythm, Ronnie Mack, it's hilarious, and I love it. Like, I'm not trying to be super negative about Ronnie Mack particularly here. I think he's funny, and I think that what he does and his antics are pretty funny. Like, it's a cool character, but just leave it out of real motocross. That's my only gripe with it. So, again, I know I'm going to get hate. You guys can hate all you want. It's not going to change my opinion about it, and I would love to, like, talk to you about it. Like, I don't think that you should just say I'm an idiot and that I have no, like, self-respect or anything. Like, talk to me. Tell me why you think that this is really, truly a great idea. Beyond the support for Puerto Rico, I'm 100% on board with that. Yeah, it is a great idea. So that's not a valid argument, because I think it's a great idea too. But, like, what's the real point of having these guys out there, you know? Like, it's a little bit sad to me. Anyway, so that's my rant. That's my rant about Team France. That's my joy about Team USA, and then my extra rant about Team Puerto Rico, which is just like, what? So at least I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the gameplay in it, because this wasn't the best gameplay video. I tried to ride the track a little bit, but I admittedly still kind of suck at this game. But please download the track in the description below if you want to have a go at it and try it out for yourself. It's a fun track, like I said, and yeah, I felt like it raced pretty well in sim. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.